Life is Strange reunion is almost here, and of course, the Life is Strange fandom is conflicted. Some of us are looking forward to the game, some are dreading it, and most of us are probably somewhere in between. Personally, I'm excited for the new game, but I've also got a fair few reservations about it. So, let's talk about it. What's going to be good, and what might be not so good. Let's start with the things I'm looking forward to. Chloe Price is one of the most beloved characters in the Life is Strange franchise. Her relationship with Max is the major driving force of Life is Strange 1, and one of the big reasons why it was so successful and why its story has such staying power. So a lot of fans were understandably upset when Double Exposure brought back Max and left Chloe in the dust. An off-screen breakup, romantic or platonic. Really? Now with Reunion, Chloe's not only back, she's a fully playable character again. Her aged-up redesign has been getting mixed reviews, but personally I'm into it. I know there are those who are struggling with Chloe having a new hair color, but one, that's what the nostalgia pack or whatever is for, and two, as someone who has a history of dyeing their hair, the odds of someone like Chloe having the same style and color at 29 as she did at 19 are low. More important than her new hairstyle, she finally has visible piercings. It always felt off to me that she didn't have piercings in Life is Strange 1, especially since Max literally mentions her having piercings in her journal, leading to the persistent fan theory that Chloe has pierced nipples, since those are the only piercings that Max could have detected that we as the players wouldn't have seen. I'm excited to see more of her aged-up redesign. I'm curious to see if she'll have any new tattoos. That would be really cool, and there's a lot of room for interesting visual storytelling through her ink. More than anything else, it's just great to see adult Chloe in this series that really struggles with letting teenage girls live into adulthood. Before the Storm was divisive. I loved it. Yes, of course, the story has its issues. It's a Life is Strange game. But ultimately, I felt Chloe worked well as a protagonist, I thought her dialogue was really entertaining, and Rihanna DeVries did a fantastic job bringing her to life. Yes, Ashley Birch's vocal performance from Life is Strange 1 is iconic, but considering the size of the shoes that DeVries had to fill, they did an admirable job. I look forward to seeing where Before the Storm's Chloe writer and Before the Storm's Chloe actor can take a grown-up Chloe, especially in a game that is presumably longer and created by a more mature dev team with more games under their belt. Life is Strange 2 confirmed the survival of David and Victoria, and presumably Mark Jefferson, since he was also in that bunker. Wavelengths confirmed the survival of Mikey and Steph's dad, I think, but it's strongly implied that most characters from Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm died in the storm, if the storm happened. And in some cases, Joyce, Drew, Steph's mom, their deaths are stated outright in canon. With the merging of the Bay and Bay timelines in Reunion, every character who was lost to the storm is now resurrected, along with Arcadia Bay itself. Will we get cameos? Probably not, but a fan can dream. Although it's unlikely that we'll get more than social media posts and similar snippets, I look forward to learning whatever scraps we can pick up about these newly resurrected characters, as well as how the lack of a storm impacted existing relationships. For instance, in Double Exposure, Max and Chloe have clearly maintained contact with Victoria, but without the shared trauma of surviving the storm, or losing Chloe if you went that route, would Max and Victoria still have anything connecting them? Plenty of people naturally drift away from each other after high school, especially people who had a contentious relationship to begin with, like Max and Victoria had. Who would Max still have a relationship with in this merged timeline? If Max saved Kate, I could definitely see them staying in touch, though, of course, if she died before the storm in your playthrough, presumably she wouldn't have been revived. Max talks about Warren a bit in Double Exposure, so it seems like she'd still be friends with him, though he's honestly just about my last choice of someone to hear from again, apart from David, but he's already had his cameo. Will Deck 9 remember that Luke was a character? Remember Luke? Luke seemed nice. The timeline hopping in Double Exposure was an idea with potential, but it wasn't used very well. In the announcement, it was confirmed that Max's rewind powers are back in full. Hopefully with this mechanic back, we'll have a less hand-holdy, on-rails type of game experience. A huge part of Life is Strange's success was the story. This narrative of two young women torn apart and then pulled back together by life and death. But the rewind mechanic was also key to Life is Strange 1's success. Who hasn't wanted the power to rewind time? It'll be interesting to see how the rewind plays out in Reunion, story-wise. Max was a shy, awkward teen in Life is Strange 1, and the rewind was a great tool for her to gain confidence and undo her awkward mistakes. She's more confident as an adult, as we saw in Double Exposure, and she's also seen the horrible consequences of her rewind power, unless the storm wasn't actually connected to it. She's also been dumped by Chloe because of Chloe's fears that Max would abuse her power to win any argument, etc. So will this grown-up Max approach her old powers differently? And will those rewind powers still be fun for the player in this context, having seen the damage that those powers can do? I'm excited to find out. A complaint that many have had about Double Exposure is that we never really formed as strong of a connection with Caledon and its inhabitants as we did with Arcadia Bay. It's a beautiful location, and there are some genuinely interesting and endearing characters in it. But it's not Max's hometown. Her history with Caledon is months long rather than years. Will a second game in the setting help us connect more? Remains to be seen, but it'd be nice. Especially if we end up with another situation where Max is forced to choose between Chloe and a location. They'd better make us connect more with Caledon. So that's what I look forward to in Reunion. Grown-up, playable Chloe, catching up with some Arcadia Bay faves, rewind powers, and, I hope, clicking more with Caledon. This is all stuff that I'm hopeful that Deck 9 will get right. Though, of course, I have reservations. Now, what are some potential pitfalls of Reunion? The end of Life is Strange 1 had a huge impact. Every game that adds on to Max and Chloe's story diminishes the impact of the player's choice in that initial game, no matter how hard the dev team tries to honor it. That just can't be helped. Merging the Bay and Bay timelines into a best of both worlds scenario may have the consequence that, say, Futurama's follow-up of Jurassic Bark had, completely undercutting the original and robbing it of its emotional impact. If your choice at the end of Life is Strange 1 only matters in terms of dialogue options, and not in terms of who lives and who dies, did your choice really matter? I love a callback. Deck 9 loves a callback. The Life is Strange fandom as a whole is very, very mixed on callbacks. Some of us are fine with it, some of us love it, some of us hate it with the intensity of 1,000 Burning Suns. As mentioned before, Chloe is one of the most beloved characters in this franchise, and for good reason. Life is Strange 1 has much less emotional resonance if you as the player don't care deeply about Chloe. Before the Storm is essentially not even worth playing if you as the player don't have an emotional investment in Chloe. And here's the thing. Life is Strange 1 Chloe is broadly the most beloved Chloe. And this isn't going to be that Chloe. Ashley Birch's vocal performance of Chloe is iconic, and her original mocap actress was great too. Personally, I loved Chloe in Before the Storm as well. Rihanna DeVries had a lot to live up to, and they did a phenomenal job. But there has also been a fair bit of pushback in the fandom against Chloe's representation in Before the Storm. The fact that she wasn't performed by Ashley Birch, as well as the way that she was written. Reunion is clearly reaching for a callback to Life is Strange 1. But does a callback still work with such a different creative team? Following on that, is it a good idea to make an entire game that's completely dependent on callbacks? Up until Double Exposure, you could play any Life is Strange game and still enjoy it without having played any other game in the series. There were always nods to the other games, but you didn't need to get it in order to understand the game's story. With Double Exposure, and now even more so with Reunion, that really isn't the case anymore. If you haven't played Life is Strange 1, you probably would have been pretty confused playing Double Exposure, missing out on huge chunks of important information about Max and her past. With Reunion, you'll need to have played Life is Strange 1, Double Exposure, and probably also Before the Storm in order to fully follow the story. This game appears to be targeting a really small audience. Life is Strange fans who have played most, if not all, previous games, and who are also open to major changes in previous canon. If this game is trying to appeal to a broader audience than that, good luck to them. It feels really unlikely to succeed at that. Let's be real. Amanda and Vin existed as characters, Amanda especially, so that Max would have someone to flirt with since Chloe wasn't in Double Exposure. But now Chloe's back, so what happens with Amanda and Vin? Vin at least had some plot relevance. Amanda was basically a sexy lamp that didn't even have a post-it note on it. I really liked her though, and I think it'll be kind of a bummer if she's not even potentially a romance option in Reunion. Like, yeah, I'll romance Chloe, of course. I'll always romance Chloe. Always be romancing Chloe. But Amanda and Vin were interesting characters. And I'm not such a die-hard price fielder that I can't stand the thought of Max with anybody but Chloe. I'm a shameless multi-shipper. So, with Chloe's return, where does that leave the relationships we were forming in Double Exposure? Will Max still be able to pursue a romance with someone other than Chloe? Or will they just be swept under the rug and forgotten? The timeline jumping mechanic in Double Exposure was a great idea. Emphasis on idea. In actual practice, it wasn't really much fun as a gameplay mechanic. Instead of having fun solving puzzles with it, it often felt like we were just following a, frankly, kind of tedious, scripted set of actions. Was this a problem with the mechanic itself? Is jumping back and forth between two timelines just not as interesting as it sounds on paper? Or is it a Deck 9 issue? Will Max's rewind power be fun and freeing, allowing us to explore the world and learn about characters in interesting ways? Will we feel like we're cheating the laws of time and space? Or will it be Double Exposure all over again? As much as I am looking forward to learning more about Caledon and its residents, I'm still worried that I'm just never going to care enough about them, especially since Arcadia Bay is now restored. For a significant part of this fandom, Caledon simply will never be as compelling as Arcadia Bay. Why would we care about digging into the mysteries of Caledon if all we can think about is, why isn't Max road-tripping back to Oregon to reunite with everyone she lost? It was genuinely a heart-wrenching decision, choosing between Chloe and Arcadia Bay at the end of Life is Strange 1. I've always been Team Chloe all the way, but it's still viscerally upsetting to condemn everyone else to death to save her. Will Deck 9 be able to make us care enough about Caledon and its residents if it comes down to choosing between Chloe and a location again? Because right now, there's no contest. Bay over BFA. I was optimistic when Double Exposure was announced. And although it's not my dream game, I think it was actually pretty solid. I really, really want Reunion to be better than Double Exposure was. I want the callbacks to hit. I want my fears to be unfounded. I want rewinding time to be the interesting and enjoyable gameplay mechanic that we all know it can be. But I'm quite worried. This game is taking on a lot. There are a lot of things that have to be done just so, or they just won't land right. So, here we go. The game drops in a few days. Keep your fingers crossed that it's a good one. If you've got hopes or concerns about Reunion, leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. My partner and I will be streaming Reunion when it releases, so please subscribe to this channel to join us on that journey. And in the meantime, we've got playthroughs of most of the other Life is Strange games. We've got Life is Strange ship tier lists, and a lot of queer, indie, and AA content in general. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at the Reunion.